Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special episode of the Director Studio Show where we're going to be going through some of the many highly requested elements of what Cinamaker brings to the table, and who better to bring on camera than to do something like this than Benjamin Nowak himself, the founder and CEO of Cinamaker. First of all, thank you so much for coming, and thank you so much for inviting me out to Atlanta. So we've been here for about a week talking all things Cinamaker, all things future of Cinamaker, and I figured why not make an episode with Ben himself and kind of go through some of the different elements that are coming up in Cinamaker's future.
My name is Mark Angelo Coppola, and I'm a digital storyteller, entrepreneur, and creative who has made thousands of pieces of content online viewed by millions all over the world. But the one thing I have always been passionate about is helping people like you create great video content. That's why I partnered up with Cinamaker to create the Director Studio Show, a video podcast that brings you behind the scenes on the how-tos of creating a multi-camera show for entrepreneurs, creators, podcasters, and marketing experts who dream of creating simple, effective, and scalable video content. So let's dive in.
So the first thing I want to kind of pull up here is, what is it that you think is happening to the industry right now, given the integration of things like AI, the kind of the future of video editing, the future of content production? Where do you see that going, and how is that kind of shaping the industry at this point?
That's a great question. Content creation has been transformed quite a bit over the last couple of years, with AI taking a major role in that. We've been working on our AI for close to 18 months. We released our first feature about 7 months ago, doing transcriptions and subtitles. We have some really exciting news that we'll share today, later in the show, just how some new AI integration implementation. But back to your question, AI is being used for everything from improving the quality resolution of poor source footage.
Mm-hmm.
It's being used to summarize long format content into a lot of clips. Mm-hmm. It's we've got some super innovative uses for it, but really it's about there's generative AI is ridiculous, and the types of applications it will bring are really impressive. Some of the best I've seen is some of these AI, whatever you want to call them, fake three-dimensional models that they look like human, and they'll take your content and deliver it in any language you want. So you can immediately have a spokesperson in speaking in a native language very well. So we take advantage of a lot of that for marketing. We're incorporating a lot of that into our product.
Yeah, well, I think one of the most requested features I know exists out there and kind of exists in the world of remote content production, which we have lots of advancements into, and we'll get to that here in a second. But the biggest feature that you kind of feel when you're in a Zoom call, for example, is that it's auto switching, right? You've got this capacity to go from one camera to the other based on the audio, right? So where I've kind of been really excited about AI and automation, at least, is the ability to go from camera to camera or from mic to mic based on audio levels and or face detection, or a combination of both, that it basically says, hey, right now I'm using this new Stream Deck over here. I've got this set up for the first time. So I'm getting used to how this whole thing works. But, essentially, normally when I'm using Cinamaker on the app here, the capacity for me to go from camera to camera, for me to go from, that wide to this shot over here, enables me to kind of be the director, but it still is a kind of an active role. And the capacity to be able to have the hot mic kind of switch based on certain things, and also use that to kind of make the show more interesting, potentially eventually teach the AI how that could be more interesting, or how you can kind of train the AI to cut on a cadence that, somebody like Mr. B says every 3 seconds, maybe it's a little much for long format content.
Switching.
Yeah, exactly. I just think that, the ability to auto cut is probably one of the most requested features that you've gotten out there. Curious about what other elements are coming together, both in the capacity of automation, but then some of the other components. As you mentioned something about transcription, I think that's pretty interesting. What's coming up on the transcription side of things?
Well, right now there are a handful of tools out there that have done a really great job. They're typically in the podcast creation space, but videos quickly going there with Adobe implementing their text-based editing. We showed off an early preview of our text-based editing at NAB, but how that's evolving is to really. So the goal is to create high quality content faster and, publish as often as possible.
Absolutely.
One of our innovations, as you talk about all the time, is live editing. We believe that brings significant, our workflow, that's all digital all the way through. Yes.
Which is what we're doing right now. The key here is I'm pressing the Stream Deck. I could be doing it here on the computer if I so chose. But the idea is that I'm able to switch cameras and edit while the production is going on, whether I'm doing that myself or somebody else is supporting me.
Very importantly, not just edit while the production's going, but editing after the production, editing in post, because all of your cameras, all of your local studio cameras, remote guests that we're in are all captured, and immediately after the production, you can do your own live edit as it were live like this. Okay, so that innovation combined with text-based editing, which is another, rapid video production, technique, combined with AI automation, these innovations layer on top of each other to a really powerful ecosystem. And we've been, a heavy R&D company. It's been from the beginning, we've always been expanding our ecosystem and platform, and we'll announce a couple of those things here. But all these type of features layer on top of one another and just are kind of wizards and guides for the users. So we're taking we're making controls optional, so to speak, is where we're going with things. What you mentioned, by the way, the audio-based switching, that's what we call light AI.
Sure.
We've got some powerful stuff in the cloud that does that, and we have some of our AI models we'll be deploying that are based on that as well. And
well, I think that's where, Cinamaker, from my perspective, really shines, is that Cinamaker's unique element, or the one component that really, for me, changed my workflow, was number one, the live editing piece, so my ability to kind of do those things. Right. Number two was the integration of remote, right? So not only can I make remote content, which is, some of the other people out there are doing, I can also do in studio, and then I can do the hybrid of both. And that hybrid, and then being able to switch or automatically switch between those different hybrids, creates a huge opportunity. Now, I often, when I record this show, normally Kyler's here, right? Kyler is kind of remotely coming in via Zoom, and we're doing that via a direct integration with Zoom directly, the SDK. Now, the difference is absolutely. And in his case, in my case, we have very good internet. Generally, the stream quality is perfect. Right. But I know that there's now kind of a new innovation that's coming where we can guarantee this high quality stream. What does that look like? What's coming out? And when can we expect something like that?
Wow. You can get right to it, aren't you?
Well, I mean, I'm here to tee you up for some of the things that I know we've been working on.
I need the teeing up. It's fantastic. So we are focused on, we have been focused for a while on, as I mentioned, building our ecosystem. Part of that includes how you get content into the system. Today we have studio inputs, live Zoom inputs, digital inputs, variety of type of ways in, variety of type of ways out. One thing we are going to be releasing in probably before the end of the year, for sure, not probably, definitely before the end of the year, is our product, Remote Director. And Remote Director is two pieces that can work independently, or they integrate directly into Cinamaker Director Studio. It's called, the first product we'll be releasing is Remote Director for Zoom. And that basically allows you to get your Zoom recordings in full 1080p. Yeah. These are the recordings that get saved on your local computer. So if you have a really good microphone and a high quality camera,
no matter the stream quality,
exactly,
you're
getting that straight quality back to us. So we still operate with the Zoom stream, so you can have your dialogue.
Yes.
But after the production and during the production, the studio grade quality gets uploaded. That's coming very soon. We're real excited about that. And just while we're on the ecosystem, we also have another product called Stream Blaster. We're real excited about it. It operates like any of the multi-streaming services or platforms. Go to 10 or 15 destinations. You can go live, or you can, set your file, a previously recorded show, to go live to these destinations all at once. We have a multi-chat interface. We make it really simple to do those types of things.
Yeah, well, I think that's the power of Cinamaker. For me, this is I kind of say this over and over and over and over again. I'm like a broken record on this. It's faster, cheaper, better, right? Can we make the workflow from the moment I hit record to the moment I hit publish? Can we help produce the most amount of content for people and actually get as accurate to that content that they're actually going to press publish on as quickly as possible? Now, that's the part where I'm particularly excited about is, Cinamaker is Blaster is great, being able to kind of live stream this whole production, being able to put this out on multiple channels all going at the same time. And it's not just live stream, but it's also pre-recorded content that I can then publish as if it was a live stream of sorts to these multiple channels. Super valuable, super interesting. And it combines a lot of these tools that many people often have to combine, right? Like they have to have this tool and that tool and this editor and this piece and and they're constantly workflowing from one piece to the next to the next. And that kind of creates a massive amount of stickiness, a kind of a lag between the time I hit record and the also time I hit public. Yeah, no, definitely not. It's friction. The more friction you have, the more it costs, right? Absolutely. Now, one of the innovations that I know is coming is now we're going to start supporting kind of different modes, or we're going to have different formats that are going to change the game. So right now, again, you're watching this in a horizontal format, let's say a standard YouTube or a standard Vimeo or whatever other format. But now over time, the kind of, obviously there's been long format shows, webinars, podcasts, things of that nature have become an important element of building content. But if you're going to drive people to that content, you have to be doing vertical. You have to be thinking shorts, TikToks, Reels, any of those different components. Sure. Now, what I love about, and this is what's subtle in what was mentioned in the text editor, is that the text editor does two things. One, it allows you to have a transcription of everything that was done. But that means that the AI could then be reading that script or reading that transcription of sorts and suggesting an amazing amount of extra, here's a very interesting piece that you talked about. Maybe here's a title or some of these different things. 2D.
Come on, you got to keep some stuff before it's released.
Oh, sure. But
some surprises for us.
Oh, absolutely. But what I'm trying to say is that there's the capacity for that. And then the other capacity is that the text editor enables people to kind of find a portion of the show. Absolutely. And then be able to cut that, see what was said right before and after, right. And then the AI might suggest something that's decent. As my experience with many AI editors has shown, it's decent, but I kind of want to change it. Maybe I want to shift it, or go one way or the other. I want to cut out a piece and combine two pieces, do all these different layers.
Yeah, thanks, Mark. I think you covered it as our goal. To be a end-to-end solution provider and give people a one-stop production environment. We're going to have AI in our new release in multiple ways. The auto switching, but as you mentioned, it's going to be suggestions. You'll be able to take it as is, or you'll be able to go into the editor and tweak it to your liking. We have clip creation. We will take you all the way to the end and give you the content you need to publish on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, in all formats. And we're going to use AI to make those recommendations. Now, some of these innovations aren't completely new. They're now becoming standard processes in the industry.
Sure.
But we're bringing it all together. And because we're managing the workflow from the beginning, where we're capturing the metadata of a production, we have a lot of flexibility with AI to do things that our competitors who are maybe taking just a finished video and working with that. So we're real excited about
what you're getting to there.
We're bringing
well, what's powerful about what you just said there is, and again, it's a subtlety of what you're saying, is that you normally when you have a workflow, let's say you're recording on multiple cameras, you would come out and pull out the different cameras that you would have here. You would have all of these different files. You'd have to combine them, edit them, and then eventually get it to an AI editor, which means that you're in a flat kind of mode. You have already decided the cuts. You've already made certain things happen that the AI cannot change. Right? I mean, sure, it can generate certain things or make, make a dragon appear on somebody's face, or it can maybe voice change or add, other components.
Reformat the screen, but maybe
sure, but not as
when you're in control.
Far from as elegantly as when you're in control and when you have all these data sources being recorded in full. Because that's the beauty of Cinamaker's editor, is that this is going into the app, but I have the capacity to make different decisions post.
It's non-destructive.
Exactly.
Editing.
Exactly. Now, what that does, though, is, I started with Cinamaker, my journey began with an iPad. I really love that. It's kind of actually very similar to the way that I have the Stream Deck here. I was able to kind of bring in the different cameras, and I just kind of popped it up, open in front of me, and I was hitting the different buttons. Eventually, I upgraded into the Mac app, and that was obviously very powerful. It kind of enabled significantly more. I was able to use or have Kyler come in as a remote producer. So he was remotely connecting to my computer and remotely switching cameras within the app, all actively happening on my machine. But I know that one of the biggest requests is like, well, wait a second, is this only an iOS thing or a Mac thing? I know that there's kind of some big innovations, some big leaps that are happening here. Obviously, we're seeing that with Remote Director, integration of Zoom in there. But what's coming down the pipe that blows this wide open, makes this accessible to all, let's say?
I have to be careful when I answer this. The cloud is king, so to speak. While you can't take Cinamaker Director Studio and replicate it in the cloud, because frame accurate multi-camera is, really requires a local network, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm.
There are companies that do it, but it's really on the higher end of production. It's not in the desktop where the creators exist today. So, we believe ultimately that the mass of content creators are not going to be downloading software, not going to be setting up networks with high-end video gear or even DSLRs in many cases. They just want to be able to work with a couple, high-end webcams or
whatever they have. And the cloud really enables that. So we've been invested in the cloud now for almost 2 years. We have our Studio Blaster, our Blaster product coming out. We have our Remote Director, which is cloud-based, Blaster cloud-based. We have our automation, AI automation switching coming out in Cinamaker Director Studio, but we also are building that in the cloud as well. So ultimately, everything will be in the cloud, but we're moving quickly to get these production tools, get access to more people, to get the benefits of live editing and automated editing. What that means is that essentially people with different devices are going to now be able to plug in and use this, right? Yeah, sure. So where Mac or iPad used to be a form of limitation of Cinamaker, now Windows or other devices, basically the cloud means it opens up to anybody with a web browser. So, it's going to take time. It's definitely an integration it's way more complex than you think, ladies and gentlemen. It's more complex than I think. I wish I could snap my fingers, and I know Benjamin feels the same way, that he could snap his fingers and all these things existed. There's an enormous amount of people and engineering working on something like this. This is a constant work in progress. It's a constant evolution, and we're doing our best to consistently listen to the audience. So I say this, and I invite any of you who are listening to this episode, who are listening to some of the updates that are coming in the Director Studio Show, who have enjoyed the content that we've created here, as well as just kind of the overarching, let's say, thought process that you now are considering maybe shifting some of your workflows so that you can go from record to publish as fast, cheap, and easy as possible, to leave us any comments, right? Like if there's something that we said here, if there's a question, if there's something that triggered a layer of excitement, but you want a little bit more details, by all means, please leave any questions you have in the comments. And stay tuned for some of the things that are going to be coming up with Cinamaker. Stay tuned for so many of these different innovations that we are planning on rolling out in the next couple of months. And just know that we're constantly iterating, we're constantly evolving, we're constantly finding a way to use Cinamaker to support you using Cinamaker in a way that is particularly engaging, particularly exciting, but most importantly, makes your life easier when creating long format content. So thank you so much for having me out here in Atlanta. This is the first time I ever came to the Cinamaker studios and offices. We spent so much time talking about where this is going and how this is going to continue to innovate. And I'm just glad to be a part of this. I'm just glad to be a part of this innovation, to be on this curve.
We are extremely appreciative of you as one of our longest customers and advisors and spokesperson. You are the spokesperson. So thank you for being here with me, tolerating me all week. And,
you made it easy.
I tried, but it's still me.
Anyway, so much more to come. Check out our YouTube channel for more. These updates will be launched. There's going to be a lot of other changes that are coming in the coming months. So, anyway, we'll see you in the next episode.
Thanks, everyone.